Hello, I am ZHAO Chuang. Today, we will draw the forelimbs of Baryonyx, with an emphasis on the hand. Baryonyx was named for its huge claws, so we should highlight this feature in the drawing. It had 3 fingers. Its thumb was much shorter than its index finger, but had the largest claw. Its index finger was the longest, and its middle finger was shorter. Regarding the size of the 3 claws, the first was the largest, the second was smaller, and the third was the smallest. It's also important to consider the ratio between the length of its claws and the fingers. Additionally, pay attention to the knuckles of its fingers. The thumb had only 1 bone, the second had 2, and the third had 3. Now, let's get started. Start the draft by sketching its most iconic giant claw. In life, the claws of Baryonyx would be more slender than the fossils, as they would have been covered with a keratinous sheath. Then, draw its fingers. Its finger pads were not very pronounced. Its first finger had only 1 bone, so this finger could not bend, only the root was able to move. The claw of its second finger was shorter than the first, but this finger was the longest among the 3. The third finger was shorter than the second, and its claw was also the smallest among the 3 claws. When drawing the fingers, pay attention to the fact that, like human fingers, the root of its first finger was located relatively farther back, and the second and third were further forward. Baryonyx also had a palm resembling that of a human. Then, draw its wrist, followed by muscles behind the wrist. You can add some strokes on the roots of the fingers and highlight the wrinkles. After that, draw grooves on the side of the claws to make them appear to have a structure that can accommodate blood vessels. Then, we add some shading to make it look a bit three-dimensional. Draw some large scales on the dorsal side of the fingers, similar to those of the birds or crocodiles. Make the scales in the middle larger, and gradually decrease their size towards the sides. Add a little shadow to the fingers, and give each scale a slightly three-dimensional look. Next, let's move to draw the scales of the first finger. Followed by the smaller scales on the side, with each row smaller than the previous one. We can ignore the outermost tiny scales. Add some volume to each scale. Then, draw the claws to look three-dimensional. Also, depict some scratches, cracks, and the like on the nails to make them look realistic. Next, draw some large scales on the back of the hand. The gaps between the scales, especially those between the 4 scales on the top, bottom, left, and right, can be slightly strengthened. Finally, use some softer lines to depict the texture of the skin. Great! With that, we've finished drawing the forelimbs of Baryonyx.